Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break here for Sports Radio. You're doing for all sports. On tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, with Locke joining me momentarily, coming back from Boston, we're discussing the NCAA bubble. Who's in, who's out, who still got some work to do, all that good stuff. Plus, the Sixers Celtics about to tip off here on NBA on NBC. So we'll be discussing in and out of live action on that as it goes on. Plus, can the San Antonio Spurs catch the Oklahoma City Thunder in the standings in the West? A good debate there. Also, we discussed the Magic, Lakers, our two respective teams going at each other this past week. We'll discuss that matchup and more here on Fast Break, live for Sports Radio. You're ready for all sports. We'll catch you on the other side after these messages.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. iSports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Make sure I have the right one. Bam, there we go. All right, what's good, everybody? This is Davidson Crooks here. One happy fast break here for Sports Radio. You're read for sports. Thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. D-Locke will join us here momentarily. He just got back from Boston, so for ACC. So he's going to be joining us very shortly, and we'll get on. We'll get rock and rolling here. But for the meantime, I'm going to carry off for just for a little bit right here until he hops in and gets on into his apartment. Anyways, before we go live here on the show, I know last week we talked about this sponsor here, and I'm glad we got the X audience back because last couple of weeks that's kind of sucked. But we're glad y'all have y'all viewers back in the fold of things. But in this ticker running right here, we unfortunately lost Rondell Moore. Used to be receiver for the Purdue Boilermakers and was a receiver in the NFL with the Cardinals and the Vikings, I believe. So if you go to our one of our brand ambassadors here, hang on a second. Yeah, all right. But if you go to the website there at Vital Apparel, any proceeds that you buy for them goes to mental health research, all that. It's kind of sad that you have to use somebody's death to promote mental health and what he was going through. But anytime it's a good cause trying to promote things and being light and more heightened awareness, all that to that. So do check that out. Do check out they're a great brand for us, Vital Apparel. So please give them a look, buy some apparel, and with the money you use for that research, it will help. Not just a pro athlete, but somebody you may know down the line there. So do check them out right there. If you're new to IE Sports Radio, do follow us on all your social media feeds. Whereas X, glad to be back on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification. So wherever one of us goes live in the network, you'll see our pretty faces with us every Sunday at 7 or a little bit after. Once you get that notification, comment, hop in, like the show, chat it up with us. Have a good comment. We'll talk about it, dissect it, all that good stuff here. All right. So, Philly versus Boston on NBC. You got Philly, who is going to be without, it seems like Joel Embiid, as I've seen her watching the preview right now, and Boston, who's looking pretty damn good and looking pretty damn well. They could overtake the number one spot. Hold on one second. Let me get this out first. It's so good to have that speaker. That X on this again. All right. But Joel Embiid not playing tonight. Oblique injury to him. So he's out the next at least 3 games, probably more than that, because he ain't been playing much anyways. But you got this matchup here with the Celtics, Sixers, and with the Celtics, Sixers, with the tip. Oubre with the 2 points to get Philly off to a good start. And I think one thing with Philly, oh damn, I'm covered up. Damn. Sorry, folks. I ain't know Kawhi Leonard playing tonight, and then I ain't bother checking my shit today on fantasy basketball. That's my fault. But anyways, with Philly, if they're gonna win the title this year, Embiid's got to play, because it's nice that Edgecombe and Maxey, are doing their thing, but you gotta have low post practice. You're going to do any damage in the postseason, any. And with Embiid's non-availability, Paul George. I hate to say it, I love Paul George, but a show for myself, it's just it's not jiving like it should in Philly. But I think next year is probably, we could see the team way better, way better fleshed out. It's just right now It's just kind of like they just hanging by a thread, star wise, how they gonna play one night. But I think a major question talk about Philly right now, where Sam Hauser just made a 3-pointer. It's like, do you keep Embiid around next year? You know what I'm saying? Would it be worth it to keep Embiid around? Because think about next year for your Philly. Coming into year 2 of VJ Edgecombe as a player, Tyrese Maxey on a max deal. Can you sell somebody high on Embiid and try to make a move for him? Say, for instance, could you sell high? Would you, if you're a Philly fan, Bam Adebayo, would y'all make that move? Embiid for Bam Adebayo, would y'all make that move? Would you do Embiid for Karl Anthony Towns or something like that? Would you do Embiid, maybe take a gamble like this on Zion? I was thinking, with Philly, oh, nice shot right there by Tyrese Maxey. But I was thinking, like, you're Philly, you gotta do something with Embiid come next year because he just missing too many games. The availability is not there. And I think you need like somebody down low to help the two young guards in the backcourt. I think if they can do that by a nice young piece down low, I think it'll go a long way with this team. Now you look at Boston right now in this matchup. Jaylen Brown's playing out of his mind, and I think he should be getting like top 5 considerations for MVP. And it's very interesting that they're not starting Vooch and they keep him on the 6. They keep him as a 6-man. Very interesting move to me. What Joe Mazzulla is doing right now with Boston. But this team, second in the East, the team that I didn't foresee being second in the East because of all the guys they lost. But losing Drew Holiday, was a big loss. But Porzingis, in my opinion, kind of look at he barely was there for Atlanta, and then looking like barely there for Golden State. Probably not the worst thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? Losing Al Horford hurts, but it's not the worst thing in the world. They lost Porzingis. Yes, they won the title with him, but I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world that they traded him away. You got your use out on the past couple years, but now instead of the spoken wheel, the machine still runs on. I don't think they're not really missing Kristaps that much. And nice rebound there for Boston. Yeah, I don't know who's that driving, but Jaylen Brown on the kick out for the 3, misses. Good rebound by the big man for Boston. Good. He should have had that over at Andre Drummond. Edgecombe. All the way to the basket. This kid is good. Very good. And Maxey and Edgecombe, they're kind of like an upgraded Allen Iverson and Eric Snow type of backcourt because Edgecombe kind of like the same build as Eric Snow in his way, like height and all that stuff, but he's way more athletic. And he got a lot of room to grow as a player. In which, Eric Snow, if y'all remember, All right, hold on. Let me see that again. Hang on one sec, ladies and gentlemen. I got that. All right. All right. But talk about the backcourt for Philly. They got a lot of potential for the next few years. A lot of potential and beautiful dunk by Jalen Brown right there. But a lot of potential for Philly for the next few years to be very dangerous in that backcourt. Because Toronto really got no strong backcourt like that. The Knicks, yeah, you probably contend with, but how long they gonna keep that up with all those guys and high salary and all that? The Nets and rebuild. The Hornets, that's the one you kind of look at, but does LaMelo Ball kind of seem like the long-term fixture for that team for the future? You know what I'm saying? Cleveland, yeah, you got Donovan Mitchell, but James Harden, he's always in the mid-30s as already. Detroit, Kay Cunningham, that group, got keep an eye on them. Miami, I'm not as high as Tyler Hero as most folks. He's a solid player, but he's not taking you to the promised land. And I feel like Miami at times kind of maybe missed the boat on a few of these players that they could have gotten it. They didn't want to let go of Tyler Hero for whatever reason. The Hawks rebuild mode as well, in a sense. The Wizards, we'll see what they build around with Trae Young and those young guys. See how that formats next year. But Maxey Edgecombe, pretty damn good right now, in my humble opinion. Let's see. And then got the breaking news: L.J. Carson for Michigan will miss the rest of the season after turning his ACL during Michigan's victory at Illinois. So, breaking news right here, as you can see right there. So L.J. Carson out for the rest of the year for University of Michigan there. So that's going to be that's going to hurt Michigan a lot. They'll probably still be slotted as the number 1 seed, but that's going to be a real dagger to them right now, going forward for the rest of the year. As this game is to a commercial break, let's hit on the college basketball recap real quick. First, let's go to this game here. Florida. Actually, let's go to this one. Arizona beats Kansas 84-61 in Tucson, the decisive win that clinched the Wildcat share of the Big 12 regular season title. All right, this game here, a lot of ramifications, a lot of things that go around the seating and all that good stuff. And boy, oh boy, did Arizona kind of damn, I told my notes here. Boy, did Arizona kind of let Kansas in for a little bit to kind of shut the door at the end, because they were up big in that first half. Very strong first half if you're Arizona. And then Kansas, they came back, played strong in the second half, the first part of the second half. But then Arizona just kind of took over again, and they just beat the crap out. And went down, look up. I was at work, look up, bam, they up again big in the second half. Pull this stuff up real quick. Yeah, 84-61. Peterson had 24 points for the Jayhawks, 13 for White, 13 for Council, and everybody else was in single digits for the Jayhawks. Burries had 20 points. Cravas had 13 and 10 rebounds, 12 rebounds for Burries. Koa Pete, who's kind of cooled down, being that one of those diaper dandies that it could be one and done. I probably like to see him come back for another year, kind of have a stronger year in play, because he was very strong in the beginning of the year, but kind of really tailed off. I don't say tailed off, but kind of just it kind of went below a few guys, and a lot of guys kind of risen up that kind of kept. He's in a fringe a lot, but you could easily see him sliding down in that first round easily. Talking about Koa Pete, but he had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists in that matchup against Kansas. No 3-point attempts at all for Koa Pete, but they didn't shoot well outside. Their free throw disparity, 34 attempts by Arizona at the free throw line. Excuse me. Kansas only got to the line 11 times. 16 assists for Arizona, 46 rebounds. That's right there. That rebound battle. 46 rebounds right there for Kansas. Over Kansas. Damn near doubled them. 13 offensive rebounds right there. 6 steals for Arizona on that. So you want to talk about, dominating down low and all that stuff. And I think, one thing that's going to handicap Kansas to potentially reaching the Final Four, their down low presence, I don't say it's not non-existent, but it's not as strong as years past. And one thing you can point to Kansas throughout the years in my lifetime, that strong guard play, wherever that point guard on the wing, and also the down low presence as well. And D-Locke is here to be added to the show. What's going on, man?
Man, a busy day of traveling, but it comes with it as a coach, man. So, but I'm here. You know what I mean? I see we talking about some college basketball. We had some good games going on today.
Yeah, very good games. I had my notes on the side and lost them, but I'll get them back here in a second. But I was talking about Arizona kind of this, like they dominated Kansas in that first half Saturday, and then Kansas kind of came back for a hot second with a nice run in the early part of the second half, but then Arizona just kind of just beat them down again, and Kansas just, I don't say gave up, but they just like tapped out on all that stuff. So I'm talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about Philly and Boston going on right now on NBC with Joel Embiid not playing once again. He's going to be out for the next 3 games, is what they reported, but we know that could be longer with him.
Well, the thing we know about Embiid is we know he's going to take some time off, but I'm usually the person that is against Embiid and how Philly moves. I mean, to be honest, man, I talked about it earlier. This team is actually looking pretty well with what they're doing. I mean, 33-26. Obviously, the news with Paul George kind of hurt them, but they're loaded, right? I mean, outside of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey is playing on the MVP level. Drummond does come in when he needs to. Kelly Oubre is playing out of his mind and what he can. And to be honest, this might be a bold statement, but 6 Man of the Year, I think Quentin Grimes need to be in that conversation.
You think so?
I mean, guys, give me a quick chance to pull up his stats, man. But he's playing pretty good off the bench. Not like I said, looking at most recent, looking at a couple games, 27 minutes, 15 points, 28 minutes, 19 points, 26-11, 29-14. That's not including rebounds and assists. So he's playing pretty consistent. I mean, there's other guys that we could put in that conversation, but what I'm seeing from him now so far this year, I would say this is probably the most consistent that he has been throughout his career. So maybe he's found a role for him. Now, the biggest thing is how does this fit for Philly come to playoffs, right? What do we see with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, these other guys? Edgecombe is playing extremely well.
Oh, yes.
Like, what does it do for them, during the playoffs? So, for me, man, this is one of the times I like what Philly's looking like. They look pretty scary if they can keep Embiid healthy. If it is, like you said, 2 games, 3 games, possibly even 5, whatever the case, the biggest goal is to be healthy during the postseason and then see where it goes for them, because this has been an issue in Philly for the longest. It's health. We talk about what Joel Embiid can do, but the facts is he continues to show that he's not going to be there when needed.
Yeah, I discussed before you got on the show the backcourt of Edgecombe and Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
You're good right there for the next several years. Embiid, that's a different question. And also Paul George, but I think Embiid's the bigger question because you depend on him more and he gives you more balance when those other 2 guys on the court. And I said to the audience, and shout out, we got our ex-audience back. Thank God for that. But anyways, I'd ask is like, this offseason coming up is very pivotal. The draft right here has got very high stakes. We talked about it last week about the tank and all that good stuff. Very high stakes in this draft with the players potentially coming out. And then, some of the guys with injuries, stuff like that, talking about Boston and Philly, Jason Tatum on the bench. How he's going to look coming back next year.
Right.
Other, teams around the league and those injuries as well, and how they're going to bounce back and all that good stuff. And who's going to, trying to get better here and there. And I say, like, if you're Philly, you got to find a piece or somebody down low to kind of help those 2 young guys down low come next year, especially come playoff time. Because you don't want to, be guard heavy come playoff time.
Right.
Because, if New York keeps counting around for another year, you got to contend with that. The low post duo of Mobley and Allen in Cleveland. The young dudes in Detroit, Durant and Isaiah Stewart. The nice young dudes down in Charlotte who's finally coming up.
Right.
We'll see about the Washington Wizards, but Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, how they're gonna look. Boston, they got Booch in the fold, but they got some other nice young big men as well. So a lot of teams I named off their playoff teams. The Raptors, they up there as well. So if you're Philly, you gotta look like, okay, we rode this Embiid train for as long as we did. We rode the process as long as we did.
Correct.
Now, what can we do to kind of capitalize? Can we sell high on Embiid?
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a young big man that we can
build around?
Poach and build around, or not necessarily build around, just kind of build around the 2 guys we got in the backcourt.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, right now, looking at Embiid, he's 31.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, not to say he's all the way up there in age, but he's creeping up in that range where you're gonna have to, kind of replace him. Just facts, right? Now, there's other bigs out there that you can possibly look at, other bigs that we can replace him with, but also who is your team going to be built around? Right now, it's looking like Tyrese Maxey was only 25. Him and Edgecombe. So those are the guys that you kind of can, build around and then add on to. But again, I think the biggest thing is trying to figure out the championship window with Embiid, and where does it go? Because we've seen bigs like Shaq have his run, and then now he's just making stops. You know what I mean? He's just literally making stops from franchise to franchise. Like, nobody remembers Shaq in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers Shaq in Boston. Nobody remembers Shaq in Cleveland. Right? So at this point, you want to get to a situation where you want to maximize what you get out of Embiid. And if that means also now, not only with the franchise, but moving on from him, what do you get in return? Whether it's draft picks, whether it's a player, but you got to start to build around who's turning into your franchise player is Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, and if you're, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, I think at some point you guys got probably go to management and say, hey, can we, find somebody else? This guy's not really dependable like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see how things shake out for the, we'll understand. We'll see how things shake out for the Sixers and whatnot. We'll pop in and out on this game. The first quarter is about to end with Philly up 26-22 after the free throw made by Bona at the line. So Philly looking pretty good, but Boston trying to make a comeback right now on NBC primetime, which is, I think, it's a great sight to see on a Sunday night. But D-Locke, I was talking about this game here. Like I said, Arizona breaks out Kansas. Any thoughts on that game?
I mean, we talked about this part of the season being very important for these top 25 teams. Hell, for a lot of teams that are trying to make that push. Both teams with 20 plus wins. In my opinion, we all talk about what Darren Peterson is going to do. Is he going to be that number one pick? That was a question that you asked. Is he a solidified number one pick? Looking at his minute, you're looking at his stats: 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Not a bad game, but I think what pushes the potential top 5 pick, the first round, the number one pick, and NFL, NBA, and most sports is, can you win? Not just stats. Stats are important, right? But
yeah,
it's about, can you win? Can you get that team to win? Can I draft you and you be a franchise changer? And I think this is one of those games that's going to stick out to a lot of people that's considering drafting them. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, this is before the March Madness. We're going to see more of them. But we talked about it before. March Madness, we started seeing these players that have probably been playing pretty decent during the season. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, during the tournament, they turn into a madman, right?
Mm-hmm.
They start getting their teams going when it needs to. Prime example, Paolo Banchero, now with the Orlando Magic, right? He had a hell of a tournament. He moved pretty well. And it made the Magic want to make that push to go grab him. So I think, like I said, it was a hell of a game for Peterson. But again, I think the field goal percentage by Arizona was just too much, man. I mean, looking at them, they were shooting extremely well. They didn't shoot too much from the three-point line that good, but I think the biggest thing is, Braden Berries, he's shooting pretty well for them. But again, with Peterson being a potential number one, we need to see that game that says, okay, he's that guy, right? And not only we need to see it, but we need to see it during the tournament. That is, what a lot of teams are going to look for, because we talk about the other guys that can come in and be that number one pick. Now, obviously, I think he's still a top 5, worst case top 10 pick, but is he that number one, like you said, clear cut? That's still up in the air, and that's not to shy away from other good games we had today. I mean, you had a hell of a lot of good games, but that game, like you said specifically, we talk about two teams that could possibly be potentially be in the Final Four, with Kansas and Arizona. But to see it be a 20-point game is letting you know that Arizona is something serious.
I think, Arizona is pretty serious. I think they got a very good balance with that squad. I also mentioned, Koa Pete. He had a very decent game, but his hype from the beginning of the year kind of has dwindled a little bit. And I also kind of suggested with some of the other guys kind of rising up in this draft, I think it may be a good decision to maybe come back next year, kind of build to be the number one guy next year. Now, granted, you go have enough crowded field next year with a lot of guys, but I think big man wise, I think you'd be number one in that book, in my opinion. But kind of round us up on this game though. The guest shared Big 12. Let me pull the Big 12 standings up real quick.
This is a very good conference, to be honest.
So the guest shared the Big 12. Right behind him is Houston, then Texas Tech, who's still playing strong without JT Toppin in the mix of things. Iowa State behind them. Then you got Kansas. And then I think when we talk about the bubble here, this is the bubble talk will get very interesting here. Now they got BYU 8-8. BYU, I think they're a lock-in team.
You say BYU, right?
Yeah. I think they're at large. So let's put them up with the other schools right there, despite their conference record. After that, UCF. Shout out to Johnny Dawkins. Didn't know he's coaching. Still coaching there. TCU. West Virginia, who got a big win this weekend. Cincinnati. Granted, they lost to Texas Tech back on the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
They beat OK State Saturday. When the coach had the conversation in the hallway with the fans saying that they should be ashamed about their performance. They've been really turned things around. The next two games, Tuesday, they got BYU at home. Then they play at TCU, another bubble team, on Saturday. Let me ask you this. If they win those two games, they'd be at 18-3, 10-8 in the conference. Would you consider them a bubble team, or they got to do a little bit more in the conference tournament?
Talk about BYU, correct?
No, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
They play BYU on this Tuesday,
right?
And I think both of us be. I think they ain't gonna leave BYU out of the NCAA tournament with AJ on their roster. They ain't doing.
Nah, they definitely going. That's why I was thinking about mine. Like they gotta, you know what I'm saying? They gotta have. I mean, Cincinnati, like I said, looking at the schedule, they have gotten. It's kind of been, up and down. I think the biggest losses obviously being at Louisville, Houston, and Arizona. I think they got to continue to add some of these wins. Now, if they could get BYU as a win, that's that. Well, hey, we know y'all gonna bring BYU in. Shit, we just beat them. We're showing that we are a team that deserves to be in. But again, we talked about it with the SEC and the ACC. You have to get these conference wins.
Yeah.
These conference wins play a huge deal. In my opinion, I tell you, just in my opinion, I think they should be in off the fact that they beat Kansas.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it right now, okay, you took a big loss to Houston. UCF was a rough game that you took an L to, but going to Kansas, we're talking about Darrell Peterson as being a number one pick. In my opinion, I think that's not the only reason, but that's a big win to say, hey, well, damn, like this team can compete with the best. Now, you may have you got a couple losses in here that is like, well, damn, okay, why did you lose? But Kansas is going to be in it. So, in my opinion, I think that Cincinnati deserves. Now, I think along with that, Arizona this also proves how good Arizona is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they whooped their ass way back in January. So that shows us how good Kansas is. But in my opinion, going to Kansas, it tells me that Cincinnati is a team that deserves a chance. We don't know how far, but I think they deserve to be part of that bracket. Now looking at a couple of these losses, okay, Eastern Michigan, and I'm naming out some losses that he should not have had. Arizona State, West Virginia, a few times, possibly a little bit of rivalry there. It's a rivalry game, but hell, I'll take a win against. I keep the Iowa State. I'll take that. You see what I'm saying? At the number 2 spot. So, and that's the thing about the tournament is you get in a situation where, a lot of your teams are, no team is going to go undefeated. That's not going to happen. So somebody's going to sneak in and beat them X, Y, and Z. But if you can look at some of these key victories, number 2 team, number 8 team at home, a big loss to a number 1 team. I think this team shows that they can kind of make that Cinderella story move in the March Madness. And we've seen it for years. That's what's made March Madness one of the greatest things that we've watched for years. So, in my opinion, I think I take a bold prediction right now, and I say they beat BYU on Tuesday. Because this same thing that we're talking about is something that's probably being talked about in the locker room. Hey, this game here, Wes Miller, hey, this game here, they have this person.
Yeah.
This team is probably going to be in the tournament. We are here. This game means so much that if we can get this win at home, this can be part of our resume. I need you guys to lock in for this game. This is where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cut and dry. If we lose this game, which they don't know for sure, but we damn near know they lose this game, they're probably not gonna make it.
No.
So at this point, it's the playoff mentality, right? Hey, TCU, we'll see them down the road. But right now, this game right here is a huge game. They have a potential number 1 pick on their team. They're going to be in a tournament. Let's whoop their ass. Just say, hey, we deserve to be in. That's it. So now it's up to the players to decide. And I think BYU comes with it, and that's why I said it's about who wants it more. Simple. But you go back as a coach, you say, hey, we struggle with these games, but hell, we beat Iowa State. We went in Kansas with the ass. So now, so now you have this opportunity to look, 2 games left, couple games left. Let's put it to them. All we can do is control our own destiny, which is what you're doing. Do your part. Boom. So that's just, in my opinion, That's how they approach it. They get that win against Cincinnati. I think they're in.
I'm just watching Andre Drummond just shoot a damn 3-pointer.
He needs to stop because I've seen him do that a few times.
He made it though. He made
it, but yeah, see, and that's the bad part. Because that boosts his confidence to do it again.
Oh, snap. Oh, sit back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, man, that don't. Yeah, he's gonna shoot that. But again, like you said, this is a must win for Cincinnati, man. This is a must win. Do they get it done? This determines it all.
They got it at home. So if you're Cincinnati, like you said, you got to treat every game like it's a conference tournament, one and done.
Mm-hmm.
And if you beat BYU at home, okay, go on the road. And who they got to play? TCU, another bubble team. If you can do that, keep TCU in that bubble. Now you kind of making yourself look good.
Yeah.
Now looking at today's scores, Ohio State in the Big Ten, they had a big win today against Purdue.
I've seen that.
82-74. And talking about, and the Buckeyes, they're another bubble team that has a strong, kind of like similar record to Cincinnati, and they beat one of the better teams in the country. Now, I think the thing that kind of helps, Ohio State's case, Indiana played Michigan State today, and Michigan State beat them at home. So, any chance for Indiana to kind of sneak into the tournament, make a good showing, the next couple games kind of went out the window with this loss today. And like teams like this, like Indiana, you got to keep an eye on.
Right.
And, they play Minnesota on Wednesday, and then they play Ohio State on Saturday. Minnesota's trash. We'll see if Indiana can win that game. Then they play at Ohio State on Saturday. So that game right there will kind of determine, who stays on the bubble. And I'm not saying making the NCAA tournament, who stays on the bubble and who kind of, gonna get the invite to the NIT.
Right.
Talking about Saturday's matchup.
That's a big game. That's a huge game.
And then, Marcus brought up the point. Andre Drummond shooting like Kevin Duckworth. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen this dude do that a few times, which is a bold thing that he do. And again, once a big makes a 3-pointer, they feel like they can keep shooting. They don't stop.
And then he also said the ugliest shot in the NBA. So
there's a couple of them that we've seen that had some bad shots, big time.
So back to this bubble talk. So those three teams I mentioned there, Indiana, the Buckeyes, and Cincinnati, real jockeying for position. And then, I saw this article from Yahoo the other day, D-Log. It's like Miami of Ohio, who's undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I posted on our Twitter page a few days ago. And one talking about bubble teams, Chad Baker, I'll send it to you. Chad Baker, what's his name? From USC, used to play for Auburn. Chad Baker Marzana, no longer with the team. 26-year-olds are 22 games, are averaging 18.5 points per game for the Trojans. So he's no longer with the team. So you're not talking about another bubble team that lose one of their star players for whatever reason. I'm sure somebody would, put that out. But I will say this about USC. They got arenas back in the fold of things. They do play Washington, UCLA the next couple games. With him out the way, and Arenas is playing pretty well, I think that's a great thing for them and Arenas, because you can probably integrate him more in the offense and kind of make him the dude. Because let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, Elijah Arenas, if we're going to be real, if he didn't tear the ACL and didn't get into the car wreck that he had to stay in the hospital for a few days, if those two things didn't happen to him, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about a big four in this draft.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Kind of played like his dad, a little bit taller than his dad, about 6'5", 6'6". You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like today's NBA, that's very highly valuable. So, I'm not saying this kid's going to come out or not this year. I don't know. We'll see how things shake out. But I think you got at least 2 more games with USC to kind of show something. Where they at in the standings in the Big Ten? Let me pull that up real quick. They're behind the number bubble team, Indiana, then Ohio State, 2 bubble teams right there, and then Iowa bubble team, but they seem like a lock as an at-large. Then you got UCLA. It was at large. Wisconsin at large. So if you're USC, you're a fringe bubble team, but I think if you win the last 2 games of the regular season, especially against UCLA, and Arenas can really kind of hype in his profile. And then if you can go deep in the Big Ten tournament, which that tournament is going to be pretty damn deep, and get to at least that last weekend, like that last Saturday or so, you could probably stick it in the tournament. I mean, I know that's ifs and buts, and losing Chad Baker here for the rest of the year for whatever reason hurts. But I think I can see a silver lining here that you can push Arenas into that starting role. What you think about that? Well, I'm just talking too crazy right now.
No, I mean, I think that works. Like you said, you put them in the right position where they can benefit. And I think my biggest thing is, putting that right starting lineup together. You got to put these guys together in the right spots. But if you don't know what you have. So now, giving it an opportunity to see where it goes is the biggest thing for me. Put them in the right spot is most important, and see where it lands.
We'll finish up the thoughts here and then do a quick break. The bubble's gonna be very interesting, and it's gonna be a lot of resumes that a lot of teams really gonna fight over here next week or so. Excuse me. There'll be a lot of arguing and stuff like that. But I think if your conference play is really good, I think it'll speak for yourself. yeah, that first part will go a long way for a lot of teams. But I think the conference play is really going to enhance things and see how your team really is.
Yeah.
Because some teams look good early part of the year. Like Texas A&M, for example. And then, you get into conference play, you take A&M very well, 7-1, you look up, like, damn, they're 7-1. The next thing you know, bam, they just kind of get knocked down a few pegs.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. So this bubble talk we'll be talking about the next couple weeks, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be very interesting. Who's going to stay up, who's going to stay down, and all that good stuff. But real quick, we're going to take a quick message, quick break here. On the other side of things, we'll continue to talk about college basketball, all that stuff. Talk about Florida beating down Arkansas. Talking about Alabama coming back strong against Tennessee. And talking about Boston, Philly, and also Orlando versus LA this past week. We'll discuss that as well. But this is Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio. You're ready for all sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us here tonight. With Boston up by 8 on Philadelphia on NBC on primetime, 49-41. Boston kind of really turned things around defensively against the 76ers. We've been talking about the bubble talk and all that good jazz, all that stuff. Let's dive into the rest of the big games that happened over the weekend and plus over the week as well. D-Locke, your Florida Gators beat down Arkansas 111-77, a dominant showing for the Gators in Gainesville, in which both coaches got attacked for arguing with each other, and Calipari had to be held back. But your man Todd Golden, stayed cool under pressure. Your thoughts on this game?
I mean, right now, the way Florida look, man, they look like a team that is destined to repeat. Arkansas is a very talented team. I think, Calipari has the history that he has, right? We've known everything that he's done. But in my opinion, I think this is a hell of a game. I mean, right now, this is showing me what Florida can do. I mean, man, they've been stacking a hell of a lot of good W's right now. I mean, this chemistry that they're building looks great. They did get that big loss to Auburn way back in January, but they're stacking it. They're having a hell of a season through the SEC right now in the SEC play. They just got to continue playing like this. Now, the thing about the tournament is you have one bad game. That's it. So, you have to continue to get this chemistry right to get prepared for the SEC. For March Madness, but this team looks good, man. I mean, I think they're going to be a team to reckon with. I am definitely glad to be a fan of the games I've been at as long as I can remember. Obviously, the big losses between Duke and UConn back to back; those are some big games. But I think right now, what they're showing is they're a team that is on a mission, and if they can continue doing that, I think they're going to be a team that's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, Florida. I know, like some of these, talking heads, they got them pegged as like a second seed and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. It's just like Michigan, Duke, UConn, and Houston kind of been the favorites for the past week or a couple weeks or so. Arizona, excuse me, with Houston second seed. If Michigan kind of loses out here in the next couple games, I would have to slide Florida in that conversation for right now. Duke, very strong, and they got a big time matchup this week against North Carolina. This Saturday. Ain't no way to shake it. They got the kids. The kids are packed, already camped out at Durham already to get tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna be a big time matchup. But Duke also got I won't say trap game, but they got to get a game against NC State this Monday at Raleigh. And if NC State will weigh, that can go a lot of ways, in my humble opinion. But back to Florida, though, dominant performance by them. They control the paint. They did their thing down low. Let me pull that stuff up again. 14-2 in the conference. They got Mississippi State at home. And if y'all been following Mississippi State, they just been getting their ass kicked. Like Alabama had like 20+ threes this past Wednesday. Like they just getting their ass kicked. Like Chris John's probably getting fired. They lost to South Carolina back on the 21st. Like I said, lost to Alabama. Lost to Mizzou at home, big time. And now you go play at Florida, and then you play in Georgia to finish out the year. I see a double-digit loss against Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, maybe similar to this score here, but maybe 10 less points. And then in the Georgia game, I think they get a double-digit loss right there as well. So you're Florida, take care of business against Mississippi State, and then you got Kentucky. Then you play at Kentucky on Saturday. Handle your business against them. Keep that number one seed in the NCAA for the SEC tournament, and then show out there, play dominant style there. Then I think we're talking about number one seed for them, potentially.
That'd be huge. I think obviously the target has been on their back all year, being the fact that you won the championship last year. It's just now you got to capitalize on that. And they've been checking off these wins, man. They've been knocking these wins off big time. It's just now, can you again? You're in a tournament now where you gotta be on every day, every night. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't have an off night, especially now that the target is on your back. So we're gonna see how that works.
So we'll see how that works for Florida there.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, they win that matchup 10 game against Tennessee. Nate Oates finally get that monkey off his back, winning in Knoxville. 71-69 for the Crimson Tide, in which I thought Tennessee is going to beat the brakes off them. until what's his name got hurt in that game. What's the kid's name? Ament. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Nate Ament got hurt, I think they kind of changed the things a little bit in that game. But in the same breath, they were still beating down Alabama double digits in that game. It's like, okay, he's out. We can't take advantage. And they still up double digits. And I don't know what the hell happened, D-Locke, in that game. Latrell Wright still came alive. The defense came up a little bit. It's just like, I don't say Tennessee stopped playing ball. It's just like, damn, dog, y'all had him. I really can't explain it. Nate Oates really couldn't explain it, in the post games. Like, I don't know how, but we just won the game.
They found a way. I mean, and that's what
found a way.
That's what good teams do, right? At the end of the day, good coaching, good athletes, they find a way to win the game, and they did. I mean, that's what you want, is to find a way. Sometimes people say it's luck. Well, it's the preparation that you have for those key moments. Those are those key moments that we remember, years and years down the road. So, they got the win. They found a way to get it done, and now it's just, again, like I said, being able to stack that. That win goes a long way.
These numbers here, very telling. 13 assists for Tennessee over Alabama's 8. 45 rebounds to Alabama's 25. So you got rebound double time. Offensive rebounds, Tennessee had 24. 9 steals by Tennessee.
Oof.
You tied for blocks at 4. And Tennessee had less turnovers than Alabama. 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's bad.
That's horrible right there.
Like I see a lot of Tennessee fans, they kind of calling for that wheelchair for Rick Barnes. Like, they say, hey, man, we like you and all, but damn, dog, it probably kind of pack you up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marcus brought up the points about, he said his Dookies are ready for Saturday. Got to worry about NC State first. And he said the Cameron Indoor built for that. And he also saying, especially when things aren't going your way. Yeah, we definitely agree there. It's like, damn. And kind of round out the big action for the weekend. St. Mary's get an upset win. I won't say upset, but they get a big win over Gonzaga, 70-59. A signature WCC win for the Gales at home, tighten their grip on the conference lead. So Gonzaga, strong team. I mean, pretty good team this year, but not as strong as the past couple years. St. Mary's with a big time win to kind of stay ahead of things. Let me pull that up to kind of tie it up with Gonzaga there. Your thoughts on St. Mary's? Once again, probably another at-large team. Your thoughts on them real quick.
I mean, I think obviously we know the history of what Gonzaga is, right? You go get that win. That's a big win for college for them. So to me, I mean, I'm trying to look at their schedule and see if they had a bigger win than that. Right now, I think that's a top 10 win right there. They played against Gonzaga earlier. Did take the loss. But getting that win played a huge part. And that was probably the most impressive win. Like you said, they're looking on the outside, looking in. And I think one of the main reasons they're the outside looking in is because of their schedule and who they're playing. Right? I mean, looking at these wins, I mean, it's not really teams to say, hey, they pop out, we got to put them in because they got these wins. Losing to Vandy, okay, cool, that happens. But a lot of these wins are not teams that are impressive. So, like you said, they're on the outside looking in, but going to grab that win against Gonzaga at this time is important. I think it's very known in football as well, right? It's about when you lose, right? You lose early in the season, it may not hurt you as bad as you losing later on in the season. To where with college basketball, you lose early and you win some of these games later on, it may stand out. So, yes, they got a lot of wins that made them look great to be 16 or 15-2, but they wouldn't beat Gonzaga, a top 10 team, right? When they start having these discussions as far as who needs to go in a tournament, now St. Mary look like a possibility that just wants to get in. They want an opportunity, and if they get an opportunity, maybe they can muster up a game like they had against Gonzaga.
Shout out to the WCC because I did not know this. Like this past week, I found out, and a whole bunch of us found out that Steve Lavin was coaching the University of San Diego. So, but the reason why we found out because he got fired from that job this past week. I was like, oh, okay. Did not know he was coaching while he was doing commentary somewhere. So shout out to him. Not getting fired, but shout out to him still coaching. But you got to get the point. Yeah. And also shout out to WCC, West Coast Conference. I forgot Washington State and Oregon State was playing in that said conference as well. So the two Pac-12 teams with the WCC for this year until they get the Pac-12 up and running again, which is next year, I think. Or the year after, they got something. They got that conference realigned again somehow. I forgot how.
It happens often.
I think they took a lot of teams from the Mountain West to kind of reshape the conference, and I think they got a couple other teams come along as well. But St. Mary's should be an at-large team again. So those two will probably be determined at large, depending on who wins the conference tournament. Unless, like a team like Santa Clara, who was 15-3 in that conference, and 24-7 overall, kind of clips one of them and makes the conference tournament. I mean, win the conference tournament. And then now, if they, if one of those teams if St. Mary's, for example, wins the conference tournament, now you're talking about the bubble teams we've been talking about earlier in the show, like Ohio State, Indiana, TCU, Cincinnati, and others, makes their job a little bit harder to get in the tournament if, Santa Clara wins their conference tournament. Me personally, I don't think if a Santa Clara wins the conference tournament, I don't think that should affect those upper teams, from their bubble situation right now. Because, they're 24-7. They got a very good record.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning of the year, they're undefeated to a point until they lost to St. Louis by 1 point. And St. Louis is 26-3.
Yeah.
And you talking about them as possibly out large.
Mm-hmm.
An article on Yahoo I read, they're talking about if, and I hate this crazy talk they're doing with Miami, Ohio. They saying, D-Locke, that Miami, Ohio got to win a conference tournament to be in. Ladies and gentlemen, Miami of Ohio is undefeated as we speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Undefeated. As we talk at March the 1st of 2026 at 8:20 my time here in Central Time and 9:20 in the East Coast, they talking in printed articles saying Miami, Ohio, and on TV Say they got to win a conference tournament just to get in because of their conference. That's crazy talk. And just look at St. Mary's schedule. They lost to Cincinnati, then they beat Minnesota. This is talking about November schedule here. Going to St. Mary's, December. Lost to Arizona State, lost to New Mexico. Okay. It happens. Beat North Texas, lost to Illinois, Chicago at home. Kind of like a bad loss there. I'm going to be real about that. And they kind of look at Arizona State, bad loss. And Hurley should be fired. Let's be real about that. It should put the nail in the coffin on that one. They lost to New Mexico, who's 22-7 right now. So you got another team right there that's like, in the running, depending on how they do in conference play on tournament play on and stuff. And then, you got to go into the conference schedule, like you alluded to, lost to Gonzaga. But you lost to Gonzaga, twice, and you lost to St. Mary's. So your losses came to the other two strong teams in the conference. You had a pretty strong, quad one part of the year. Talking about Santa Clara. So those three teams, to me, I think they're locks for the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, you got to get your, like you said, these locks that we think are guaranteed plays. But at this point of the season, you got teams that are trying to find a way to get into the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So these wins are very much important right now. You can't take a loss right now.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what I said this week, a couple of weeks ago, and leading up to it is your conference play is important.
Yeah.
That is your resume. Because at every conference, there's a team that's ranked top 15, top 17, whatever. You have to prove that, hey, we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the game. We deserve to be in the tournament. And it's hard for a lot of teams to do that. That's again, now, like I said, you have, Cincinnati having going back to a good matchup against BYU. Hell, this is your opportunity. You have to prove that you deserve. And a lot of teams are dealing with that with these couple games left.
Before we talk about our two teams in the NBA real quick, I did want to shout out. I did shout out on X last night. Shout out to the Alabama A&M women's basketball team. They won their regular season conference for the first time in program history. First time. Coach Dawn Thornton has been doing her thing since she's took the job at A&M. And they finally, I had to shout them out because they beat Alabama State, their rival, this past afternoon, yesterday. So shout out to them. Very impressive. Got a nice winning streak also to go along with it. So first time for the ladies of Alabama A&M on the Hill winning their regular season conference championship. Hopefully they don't lose in the first game of the tournament again like last year. But okay, wins and win. They're celebrating, all that good stuff. I just kind of wish their Twitter account was active on this winning streak to kind of capitalize on momentum. But anyways, shout out to them before we get to this game here, D-Locke. The Lakers drop a heartbreaker at home against your Orlando Magic, 110-109. Paolo Carroll was unstoppable with 36 points on the night. Mm-hmm. And Wendell Carter out-hustled, out-muscled those guys down low, especially DeAndre Ayton, who said he didn't want to play like Clint Capella. Well, that bit him in the ass. And Wendell Carter put the put back and won the game. Well, Still the game for the Magic there in this past week's matchup. And the Lakers had a chance to win the game, and I don't know what the hell Locke was trying to do. Like he had the ball, got the defender off, had a clean look, but he passed off to LeBron, who had taken like a wild shot,
right,
and missed a shot. But I'll let you go at first since your team won. Your thoughts on this big time victory on the West Coast here?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really like too much when the Lakers and Magic play because there's somebody on the Lakers trying to get a Magic player to come to LA, which has happened the past couple times. But Ben Carroll has showed us who he is and who he can be. He is that guy. I don't think that he isn't. I think that he's gonna be the franchise player for this team for a while. I mean, we have to put the money into this guy, do the things that we need to. Put them 36 points. Desmond Bain is finally coming around. I don't know if it's because Franz Wagner is out, but he's finally stepping into that mode that we need. I think the Magic are looking pretty consistent. I think I sent you a text maybe a couple of weeks ago, which is very bold. The Magic are going to the NBA Finals. Very bold. It is. But I'm looking at this team. Health is obviously a big thing, but I'm just looking at how they're playing, the expectations, the guys that they have. If they can continue being healthy, they can scare a couple people.
Yeah,
I think that this team can be a series. They're not a team that's just a one and done team. I think this team is a battle tested team throughout a series. That's just my opinion. I think they can be. De Silva comes in and strikes when the iron's hot when he has. Yeah, he played pretty good tonight against the Pistons. Wendell Carter can go out there and get hot when he needs to. Now Mo Wagner is back. These guys are coming in. They're playing key roles. So to me, I think this team is playing extremely well. They have to be consistent with that. But I think that this team is a team to watch out for come NBA playoffs. If they get in the series with the right team, it's going to be very interesting. Now, if they match up with Cleveland, more than likely, I'll have pictures being at the game in Cleveland, 1 or 2 playoff games, right? But all in all, it was a great matchup. I think what did hurt the Lakers is, obviously Marcus Smart not doing too much. Luka has usually been averaging 30 plus per game. He put up 22 that game. So, but you got your big three. But DeAndre Ayton is, for some reason, I'm not sure, why he lets guys grab rebound him all day, as big as he is. But it happens. And it came down to the last shot, which is always a good thing when we want to see good matchups. So definitely not mad at that. But I think the Magic are a team to watch out for.
At times the Lakers led pretty well. Led. Then the Magic didn't go down, and even without a point guard, in a sense, for most game for your Magic, they held it pretty good. Pacquiao bringing the ball up. He had 6 assists in that game, but kept chipping away. And one thing, I brought up DeAndre Ayton. The reason I brought it up like that is like he's been talking, the way that they want him to play and stuff like that, like kind of like Clint Capella.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a diss per se. It's like, yeah, dude, kind of want you to be more strong-minded, play more dominate down low, play a little more toughness, stuff like that. Like you brought up, like letting dudes out rebound you and stuff like that, out hustle you and stuff like that. Fight like more hustle and all that good stuff. And I think if DeAndre Ayton could do that, it'll go a long way for him.
Yeah.
But I think, as we've been covering this league, if we've been watching if y'all been watching basketball long enough, especially in the NBA, once these guys, at least 5-6 years in, they are who they are.
Right.
At one point the checks flow in, they peak enough to kind of give some of these other teams hope to sign the big deals, and then they kind of just play as they are.
Yeah, they're not changing. They're gonna be consistently who they are, and that's what you sign. You sign these guys, you got to understand who they are and what they're gonna be, regardless. And you just got to take it for what it is.
Kind of like with this game we're watching here. I'm watching here. Sixers, Celtics. Some of these guys are kind of cool where they at. Guys like Jaylen Brown, kind of like hungry to kind of, to be more than where they got him at.
Mm-hmm.
It really showed this year.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Edgecombe Maxey probably got more goals, higher goals to be more complete players and stuff like that in their early careers. But with Ayton, it's just like, damn dog, you're 7'1". Yeah, you can score and stuff like down low pretty good, but like the other things, it's like, damn, the intangibles and stuff like that can we get more out of you? Can you beat like that's probably with JJ or Nate McMillan or Scott Brooks, somebody in that bitch probably saying something, hey man. I coach, Clint. If you kind of be more like him, it kind of go a long way for your game and for us. Please help us. We don't got shit down low. And we kind of saw results of that the last few seconds of that game. Run out Carter, rebound him, put it up. That was it. Like shit. Like muscle about a couple dudes down in there for that rebound to put that shot up.
Right.
And Nail Carter like 6'9", 6'10".
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man. Like that's what I think that everybody's saying. And Luka, 22 points, 15 assists. LeBron had 21. Ayton had 21-13. Not bad stat line, but like when push come to serve in certain situations, it kind of bit on the ass. Rui had 10 points off the bench in that matchup. Luke Kennard, 9 points as well. The Magic, Powell had 36, 22 for Bane, 20 for Carter. De Silva had 11 points and 6 rebounds. Let me ask you this before we get off the air. But Franz Wagner has missed a whole bunch of games here.
Has.
Does he stick around?
Boy.
I don't know. It's just like.
That's a very good question.
Because here's my thing. I know these teams, they match these dudes up on that stuff and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
But if they ain't played a whole lot of games to get the results you want, why keep them around?
I think signing Desmond Bane was a very good move. Getting Desmond Bane. But let me reiterate, your guy is Paolo Banchero.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, that is your guy. So who fits around him? Now, we talked about different trades possibly happening. Do you use Franz Wagner as a piece to move to grab another player? Or, because right now, we talked about it earlier, Franz Wagner, Banchero, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs. These guys, it wasn't working at first. We're like, well, damn, when is Desmond Bain going to show up and show? Well, now that with Wagner's out, we're seeing Desmond Bain look like an all-star. Giving you 20 and 5, 20 and 6, and a couple steals. So now it makes you kind of wonder, right? But to be honest, I think they keep this team around. The reason why I say that is I think this is the team that they put together. This is the team that they see being a good unit. They want to see this Wagner, Banchero, Desmond Bain, Jalen Suggs. They want to see this team, see how far this team goes. And it's crazy because I watched 30 for 30 again with Shaq and Penny to see this group that they had, very similar. But unless there's a piece that they just cannot a trade they cannot turn down, that's evolved with Wagner involved, I don't see them moving it. In my opinion.
I've been thinking about it like, damn, I got him on my fantasy team in basketball. It's like he shows up very few far between. And the Magic right now, where they sitting at right now in the standings? They're 7th in the standings right now. And I was thinking, like, so many teams ahead of them.
Looking at it now.
You can get better, or you can shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something to think about if you're on. I'm just thinking aloud. It's like, with Orlando, yeah, you can keep this team together, but can all these guys stay healthy for a good stretch of a season?
That's
to
the
get
biggest
those
thing.
results.
Can they stay healthy? And that's the kicker with this team is, now you have Wagner. Can he stay healthy with the group that you have?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. All that good stuff. Let me get the music going. It's gonna be weird to see what happens for the rest of the year. Philly, Boston in the third quarter, and Philly feel like they kind of losing their shit over the calls in Boston. So I think there's be something else, something to monitor for the rest of the game there if they lose their composure that way. But before we head out, ladies and gentlemen, other scores around the NBA real quick as of today. The Cavaliers beat the Nets 106-102. The Nets continue to take the job, going. The Knicks, big time win at home in the Garden, 114-89. 25 points for Mikal Bridges to lead the way for the Knicks, 24 for Jalen Brunson. OG, 12 points for him. Josh Hart, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists for him in the big time win. The Spurs, Victor had 25, 13 rebounds, 18 points for Vassell. De'Aaron Fox only 7 points in that loss as well. So that's got to be better because sometimes he's kind of lacking in the scoring department in my eyes. Other scores going on right now. Spurs 43-32 up on the Pelicans right now. OKC 76-62 over Dallas right now. Thus far, your Orlando Magic took a loss today to the Detroit Pistons 106-92 in that matchup as well. Rapallo having 24 points. in a loss there, but 29 points for Cade Cunningham and the win right there for Detroit. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us here tonight. D-Locke, how can people follow you on social media?
Guys, follow me at Black Dash 813. Obviously, college basketball is big right now. It is extremely well. I definitely talk about them. And the Magic had a rough loss tonight. Cade Cunningham cooking, but they got a little good season there. That's what they find you on the show thing.
You can find the show's page at Twitter/X Fastbreak ISR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Do follow me on Twitter/X Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288 as well. Do follow IS Sports Radio on all your social media feeds. That's the ticker scrolls along the bottom right there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once we go live every Sunday, you'll get that notification. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, next week, more NCAA bubble talk, more NBA talk as the season winds down. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.